Assalamu alaikum. Peace be to you and hi to everyone. I would like to take this opportunity and wish all my friends a very happy Eid al-Azha. My name is Adrian. I'm a practicing Christian and I belong to a group called ABC. The letters ABC stand for Applied Biblical Christianity. Our aim is to enhance peace and harmony between Islamic and Christian communities by helping each to gain a better understanding of the other's perspective on matters of faith. As you know, Muslims and also Christians are obliged to practice dawah, to invite others to follow their religion. In order to graciously reason with each other in wisdom and fairness, we must get to know one another's beliefs. A better understanding of what is dear to the hearts of members of different faith communities will reduce fear, suspicion, discrimination, racism and, in some cases, even violence. Accordingly, this presentation will explore the origins of sacrifice in order to fully answer the question under consideration: what is the meaning of Eid al-Azha? The concept of sacrifice, which is at the heart of it, is also the key that enables us to understand the message of the Tawrat and the Injeel, known as the Holy Bible. This fascinating theme is found throughout its pages, binding them together with an invisible red thread into one unified meaning. The words sacrifice or sacrifices and offer, or the plural form offerings, is found 1047 times in the Holy Bible and 16 times in the Holy Quran. Since the Holy Book of the Muslims is confirming the scriptures that came before it, according to Al-Imran, verse or ayat 3, parallels will be drawn to the concept of sacrifice mentioned in the Holy Quran. Now let me give you some background to the word sacrifice. It is actually defined by the Encyclopedia Britannica as a religious rite in which an object is offered to a divinity in order to establish, maintain, or restore a right relationship of a human being to a sacred order. It is a very complex phenomenon that has been found in the earliest known forms of worship and in all parts of the world. According to the Tawrat, the very first recorded sacrifice to God in the history of mankind was made by Adam's two sons, Cain and Abel. Muslims know them to be Qabil the elder and Habil the younger, whose sacrifice was accepted by God because he was righteous. We have to ask ourselves the questions: what made him right before God? Why did he prefer the sacrifice of the one over the other? Where did this idea of sacrifice come from in the first place? The Quranic account does not tell us, so it is in line with proper academic research to find an answer to that question in the Tawrat and the Injeel, where the same story is found with additional details. I'm going to read to you a portion from the first book of the Tawrat, from Genesis chapter 4, verses 3 to 7. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. But Abel brought fat portions from some of the firstborn of the flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. Then the Lord said to Cain, if you do what is right, will you not be accepted? Here is another portion, and this time of the Injeel, referring to that very same sacrifice. It's found in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4. By faith, Abel offered God a better sacrifice than Cain did. By faith, he was commanded as a righteous man when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, he still speaks, even though he is dead. God accepted Abel's or Habil's sacrifice because it was offered by faith. What was the true nature of his faith? On what revelation of God was it based? To answer that question, we will firstly present circumstantial evidence. Both the Tawrat and the Holy Quran contain the story of how God created Adam and Eve. In paradise, they were allowed to eat from all trees except one. Tempted by Satan, they disobeyed God, and as a result of this monstrous sin, they became aware of their nakedness and covered their shame with leaves. God pronounced a terrible punishment on them. They and their descendants had to leave paradise, being unable to continue enjoying a carefree life, and most of all, a personal relationship with their Creator. The following significant detail is only mentioned in the Tawrat. We find it in Genesis chapter 3, verse 21. The Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them. God provided them with clothes made from animal skins to replace their insufficient covering of leaves. Is he thereby illustrating that men by themselves are unable to cover their shame caused by sin without the shedding of blood? Did God teach Adam and Eve the concept of sacrifice on this momentous occasion, which they then passed on to their children? Well, two pieces of direct evidence allow us to answer in the affirmative. The concept of sacrifice. Let's have a look at this first. One needs to know that many years after our first parents, God appointed Moses as the leader of the Israelites. He chose them to serve the surrounding nations as an example of who their Creator is, how to get back into a relationship with Him, and by what principles He wanted everyone to live by. At the heart of God's relationship with His people was an elaborate system of various sacrifices. By way of offering animals, they were assured to get their sins forgiven. Let me just read one passage to prove this incredible statement. It is found in the Tawrat, in Numbers chapter 19, verses 1 to 10. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Tell the Israelites to bring you a red heifer without defect or blemish. Give it to Eleazar the priest. It is to be taken outside the camp and slaughtered. He is to take some of its blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times towards the front of the tent of meeting. While he watches, the heifer is to be burned. A man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and put them in a ceremonially clean place outside the camp. They shall be kept by the Israelite community for use in the water of cleansing." Now listen to this. It is for purification of sin. This central requirement of the law is also alluded to in the Holy Quran. Surah Al-Baqarah, ayahs 67 to 74. Now, while Muslims, commentators such as Madudi and Yusuf Ali link it to Numbers 19, 1 to 10, other commentators such as Ibn Kathir do not. All somewhat disagree among each other as to the meaning of the passage, and therefore it is best to go back to Tawrat, being the earliest and clearest source where it was first explained. Moreover, the three famous Muslim commentators do agree that in Surah 17, Al-Isra, ayahs 1-7, the Jewish temple in Jerusalem is mentioned. It was built in obedience to God's command and has worship through sacrifice for the forgiveness of sins at the very heart of its existence.